How's everything with you, James?
Hey, pretty good. I was trying to share this, but I can't do anything fast enough. I am really out of it today. Um, yeah,
It's
pretty good
cold.
though.
It's cold and it's like dreary, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's why we might be a little slow. But nothing could be worse than last week with the magical, mystical missing documents of my 10, 12 pages of the whole show.
Yeah,
And
that's so frustrating.
yeah, I had like scripting and I had, all the examples and oh, it was so frustrating. So today, to start the show, I thought I'd give you a couple updates from last week's show just to kind of close out that topic because I did feel like I was missing a couple, I guess, proof, if you will, of the point that I was trying to make with some of the data and statistics. So I'll give you guys that stuff in 1 second. But I want to talk about a couple YouTube updates since the last show that I thought we'd find all very interesting. The first is that, well, and I don't even know if I should call this a YouTube update, but I believe this is hot topic, hot news that really applies directly to YouTube. And the news is Netflix sucks up Disney in a hugely controversial deal. So I don't know if you've been paying attention, but you know, I think that the message here is that YouTube is kicking Disney and Netflix's butt along with all of TV. It is grabbing up this huge market share, which today I have those stats for you, of even TV viewership. It's picking up and grabbing on to audiences that were unexpected in the viewership space for YouTube, which would be older audiences. I think, 60 and up, they had a huge burst which of people because I guess, us old folks are starting to learn how to use our controller and be able to put YouTube up on the TV. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I think that they're having all kinds of problems. They recently sold or disintegrated it. I think it might be. The reason they took up with the Netflix deal, I believe, is because they had to get in somewhere. They're kind of a flailing ship, and the thing about it is YouTube is owning the viewership. YouTube is doing better than Netflix. So hopping on with Netflix might be Netflix and Disney trying to partner together against the tidal wave that is the powerhouse that we discussed called YouTube. So I thought that was an interesting add to the story. What do you think?
That's crazy. I was shocked. For some reason I have never been a big Hulu fan, but I was still shocked when I saw that they had been acquired. Um but yeah, I mean it's just like a race everyone's trying to accumulate.
Well, it's so funny because I was kind of startled, but I saw two or three different articles, and then I thought, wait a minute, this all has something to do with YouTube becoming the powerhouse because these guys are syncing and they're combining. And another thing I read separately, which is in the same vein, is that one of the problems with Disney and their position in the media world is cable was buying their packages, their channels, their Disney channel and their Hulu and whatever other channels they owned. They were buying those packages, and Disney, to make money, had to keep upping those packages. And in cable TV, people aren't willing to keep paying higher and higher prices for the same cable as yesterday. That
Mhm.
tomorrow, they want a package that's going to be priced for at least a year or whatever it is. People want, they don't want to be worried about every time they turn around, they're paying more for their same TV. And again, as people are catching on to watching other things like streaming video or video on demand, which, by the way, YouTube, again, in the statistics, is beating all the streaming and video demand services right now. So they're beating cable TV, regular type media mix, and they have shorts now. So they're competing, they're taking something off of TikTok and off of Insta with their shorts. So they're starting to house all the types, all the formats, plus they go to all the devices. They have a multi-device thing too, right? The other thing I wanted to tell you to up from the finish last week's conversation is I didn't mention, and I don't know if it's new since last week. I didn't have it in my notes for last week, so I just noticed this, or I just saw somebody talk about it. But it's YouTube's collaboration feature. Have you guys heard about that? Because YouTube now has a button you can push when you're setting up to do a video, or in your creator studio. You can actually say you want to collab with another creator on YouTube. So my channel and your channel can both be streaming or showing a video when it comes out that we did together, that we collaborated on both of our channels at once. And it shows like two creators instead of one in the corner, your little avatar. It's both of us. So I've seen some of the bigger like networks that like maybe I've checked out maybe a news channel that was also broadcasting with a guest or something, but I just thought, wow, those guys are big. But here, that is a new feature, so you can collaborate. Now, last I was doing a live with Stephanie Garcia. I was interviewing her. She wanted to live stream on her channel and my channel, which would have been great. And we were using StreamYard, which we should have been able to do, but it was like there was too much. It was like, oh, we can't do. So we just did it on the one, and then the other person spread it. But it's interesting because it's just so easy if you can like set up your when you're putting your video up, that to say it's a collaborative video and have two people show it on their channel. There are two tips that I heard concerning that. One is that you should make sure you set it up with the collab tool before you publish the video or before you go live. Don't try to do it after you already put the video up or you went live. You set up the collab first. So that's the first tip. The second tip is to try to work with other channels that cover the same or similar topics with you. So you don't want to go too far off of being at least related to your subject matter, because you confuse your audience about what they're coming to find out or see on your channel. Anyway, to support the premise of last week's topic, that YouTube is a media powerhouse and an important platform. It's a crucial media hub, I think, for most every or any business today. And so I magically bring you the missing data and the stats before we go on. So here's some of them that I love for you to hear. YouTube's latest quarterly report showed that their ad revenue was roughly $10 billion, I think 10.3, which was up about 15 to 16% year over year. That's a huge increase. And it's also their first time that in just a single quarter, they crossed the $10 billion advertising mark. That's huge. And that tells you something about the growth. Monthly active user estimates are commonly cited. So this is like the average from of materials that you could find on the latest, at 2.7 billion. That's your monthly active users on YouTube. And they daily view, the daily viewing, this will blow your mind, is 1 billion hours of video per day. So when we get nervous, like there's nowhere for us on YouTube and they don't need more content or programming, and I have nothing to put in, guess what? You might be surprised to find out that they need you. They've got 1 billion hours of video watching happening. They need to fill that up. The other thing that we talked about is that Sean Cannell said that you should go in the game and thinking in both short form and long form. Now, you're going to have a place that you belong for and with your business and with what your goals and what you're trying to do with your channel, with being on and having that media. However, it's interesting to think about that and look at it. Why does it matter? Shorts, can give you those views that you need to, bump up to being able to be monetized if that's one of your goals. That gives you those extra views. It also can be a great promotional thing. I see it as a promotional thing for most of for myself and my customers, for the most part, because we're not on YouTube to be a YouTuber. It's about a business thing. And so therefore that's kind of like the direction. We're not necessarily trying to get monetized with ad space and be the biggest channel. We could be the smallest channel if we meet the right people and get the right business going. So it depends how you look at that. But shorts engagement, again, for our sake, it's a part of it, of a plan of a content plan, but it doesn't have to be your central thing. But they're saying that shorts engagement as a growth vector had a huge increase. And it says that estimating 2 billion monthly users engaging with shorts and tens of billions of daily views in shorts alone. So they're saying there's a shift towards that. Yes, there's a shift towards that short form. Also, I saw something that says that short form creators are right now making better ad money in some cases than long form. However, on the other hand, because Sean did say don't walk away from long form, interestingly, the YouTube report says that long form is in fact as robust on television. For example, in the U.S., it's huge. Nobody's close. No other media are getting that kind of a market share, that kind of a viewership on TV. So they're leading kind of the U.S. viewership on TV right now. But they're saying long form on TV is more robust than the short form. Although there is some trends with the short form starting to get popular, and that's actually bringing them the way younger Gen Z demographic, which is also new to YouTube because they were doing TikTok and they were doing Insta. They weren't really as active on YouTube, so that's bringing in a new audience with the shorts and with the television thing. So that's interesting too, that it's kind of shifting, but on both sides, on the long form side and the short form side. The long form side on TV, they say, is being watched an average of 11 or more minutes on TV. And I believe that you have to have you want to make at least 8 minutes or 10 minutes. I forget. I think I have a client that we're always watching that, but you want to have a minimum YouTube time, video time, if you are on ad revenue, because that's when they start putting the ads in at the 8 minute mark or whatever it is, the 8 minute or 11 minute, whatever it is. But what they're saying is 60% of TV based sessions even go longer. They're lasting 30 plus minutes. 60% of TV based sessions. So that means once people get in it, they're in YouTube and they're staying in YouTube. So I find that the demographic trends might affect that. So you have the older people that are getting on that are like actually sitting and watching TV. And then you have the younger people who weren't watching TV at all, but now they're starting to have an interest in it because of shorts. So that's giving a shift towards watch time and all under the YouTube umbrella on both ends. So that's very interesting. But it also has a lot to do with happiness for advertisers too, because we're bumping up those key markets for the advertisers. And I think, as I said before, their multi format aspect, long form, short form, documentary, sports, music, podcast, as Miss Eileen mentioned, all contribute to YouTube's appeal and rise in the marketplace. So, what do you think? That's probably all true.
I think that YouTube has done the best job of meeting people where they're at today. You're talking about how they're resonating with so many different audiences. Um, the collaborate feature does not surprise me. Instagram, recently released that as well, and they're really pushing it right now. But YouTube has managed to connect with people business wise, personal wise. I talked to a friend over the weekend who only has YouTube for TV. Like, she doesn't even have other streaming platforms.
Wow.
And I think more and more people are doing that. But they've managed to create a space for themselves in people's lives in every aspect. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can watch
That's brilliant
shows
on
on
your
there.
friend's part if you think about it.
Yeah, you can attend, you can watch TED Talks,
Yeah.
you can learn, like, people have,
Sewing.
you can watch Harvard lectures on there. I mean, it's crazy,
Yeah.
um, what you can do on there. So I can see, plus people tend to go down a rabbit hole on YouTube, which can be positive or negative, but I can see where people are spending an insane amount of time on there.
Well, the shift, I mean, we all knew sort of the big studios were kind of on their butts, and we kind of knew the regular broadcast and legacy media was having its own struggles for various reasons. And the programming was dropping off. I think I think they don't make movies. This makes me sound old again, but I don't think they make movies and TV series and shows like they used to. I mean, there used to be like characters and storylines, and you wanted to it hung you like a soap opera. You couldn't wait till next week because you were engaged. You were into the characters and the storyline. But everything now is like violence and blowing things up and no story and no characters and just weird crazy scenery. And I don't know, maybe I sound
Yeah.
like an old lady, grumpy old lady, so now, but I don't know, don't you think it seems like a huge change from like the true stories that people that brought people in when all that began?
I think they're leaning so heavily on the whole nobody has an attention span anymore. People have attention spans for what they want to pay attention to. And that's where I think you're missing the storylines and the complex narratives and things that actually draw people in because it's like real life. And now everything has just been dumbed down because I really love like a well-written show or a movie with a great storyline because they are rare. Um, they make you think, they make you pay attention, and that's what draws me in. I don't
I love your theory that it's the dumbed down, we gotta do it short because people are too dumb theory. I thought it was because of the shift, like, to reality TV and everything kinda blew up.
Yeah, well, I think that too. Everyone's trying just like most industries, they're all trying to copy what's popular. But just because something like reality TV is popular, there is another audience, and even people who like reality TV may wanna actually watch something else at some
Yeah,
point.
something with a little meat to it, you can.
Yes. Yeah, I think YouTube understands they have different options. So cable has not adapted. People don't wanna pay an overpriced cable bill to get 500 channels, 495 of which they don't
And
watch.
some of them, they
And
can't
then
understand the language. Why do they give you those if you don't understand why do I have to scroll through 50 channels that I don't understand the language? I don't.
just for the quality for the quantity, because they can say that they're giving you so many channels. Like, it's purely for quantity, and then streaming blew up, and then streaming started to get so segmented, you could watch 3 shows, and they're on 3 different networks.
Yep.
So you had to start stacking all these streaming services, so I think YouTube
It kinda covers it all.
yes. They've done the best job of meeting people where they're at. We always talk about that, and they've done it. They've figured out how to be an integral part of people's lives.
So it's actually put them in such an almost unparalleled position right now in the marketplace. It also, that cross device penetration that we talked about, that number one share of US TV watch time, which is hard to believe. I think it's like something like 13% in the US, which nobody else is getting a share like that. Everything else is spread.
It's
It
crazy.
it functions as the leading distributor by time. It surpasses, like I said, legacy and broadcast groups. It's outpacing streaming or video on demand rivals in aggregate viewing. It's unbelievable. They also have a strong position with their premium service where you can subscribe and have commercial free. So that's also building
Yeah.
up another revenue area for them. So you don't have to have it. They don't have any I don't think any intention of losing a free tier, but they're finding that's another stream of income that's helping their position. But they're talking about the fact that they want this multimedia platform means that they may be still, and having this huge increase in money, they may still be, like Miss Eileen says all the time, one of the most creator friendly platforms in, helping you get out there and do what you need to do, and not, it's not a charge to be on it and so forth. Although there's a lot of charge to get something up there because you got a lot of time and effort in anything you do if you're making video. I find it hard. I find it frustrating because I want to do better than I'm technically able to do, and so forth.